Good morning, students. Welcome to the online classes. Today I have a question for you, and the question is, do you have faith in God? If yes, how much? And the answer makes a story, a Mexican story written by G.L. Fuentes. But before reading the story, that is the first chapter of our detailed textbook, First Flight, a letter to God, I would like to know something from you about postal services and post offices. Uh, you might not have written a social letter in these days, but there was a time when postal letter was the only mode of communication for people staying apart from each other. In our times, we did write a lot of social letters addressing our friends, our parents, even our teachers, but now those practices is out of fashion, out of vogue, and we are not writing any kind of social letter to anybody. And let me tell you that these kind of letters were written in small size of paper. There was postcard. In our time it was 15 paise, later it became 25 paise, then it became 50 paise. Now I think postcard is obsolete, it's not available. Inland letter might be there at 2.5 rupees, and envelope at 5 or 6 rupees, I'm not sure. Again, in those days, when we were staying away from our parents used to send us money via money order, and money order forms were available at the time at the cost of 10 paise. Now money order form is also a thing difficult to find, because in post offices too they have started sending money electronically. So for namesake it's money order, but money order forms are not existing nowadays. Anyway, when the story was written, post office were in their due action, and they used to serve as they should serve. Even you will find such kind of post office in village area, but if you visit a city post office, you will confuse whether it is a post office or a bank. Now they have almost taken the face of a bank, and you will have saving deposit. Even they have started issuing debit cards. Anyway, let's move to the chapter, Letter to God, G.L. Fuentes. Here is a brief introduction before you read. They say faith can move mountains, but what should we put our faith in? This is the question this story delicately poses. And now let me tell you, faith is something which is a kind of reverence to our religion, a kind of strong belief in God, that is faith. And trust is believing something to be true and being confident, and belief is a matter of personal choice, or matter of personal perception that something is correct, that is belief. But faith, the word faith is associated with religion or God, and here we shall know that Lencho, a farmer, had strong faith in God. Lencho is a farmer who writes a letter to God when his crops are ruined, asking for 100 pesos. Does Lencho's letter reach God? Does God send him the money? Think what your answer to these questions would be, and guess how the story continues before you begin to read it. So in these days, in modern days, thinking that God will reply to a letter sent by post office is something absurd, something that cannot be believed. But when a person is full of faith in God, he can do these kind of things. But he is not disappointed he gets something from someone, maybe God or not. Let's read the story. There is an activity. You may do this activity at your home, filling out a monitor form which is non-existent these days, but still you should know how to fill out these kind of forms. The various sections are given here. The senders, the acknowledgement part, the space for communications, everything. And there is a short exercise. You may fill in the blanks. Now come to the story. The house, that is the special house, the particular house of Lenchos, the only one in the entire valley. It was only one, sat on the crest of a low hill. Crest means top of a hill. I have drawn a picture for you. Here is a hill and the crest, that is the topmost part of the flat hill. Actually, in the original version, the description is little different. No crest word is mentioned there. Only a top of the hill left by some tribes. Such kind of words are used, but this is an edited version, I think. That's why they have modified some lines. Anyway, this is the crest, and you can see this is a river here. These are the crop fields. And when one stands at the top here, can view everything. That is written. The only one in the entire valley sat on the crest of a low hill. From this height, one could see the river and the field of ripe corn, dotted with the flowers that always promised a good harvest. That means the fields there, the crop fields there, always promised or gave a good harvest. The only thing the earth needed was a downpour, or at least a shower. But when the story begins here, for long days, the fields needed a shower, a little rain, which was missing. And as I told you, this is a Mexican stories where corn is generally a main crop of those areas. United States of America, Mexico is situated below United States of America on the map. You can see. So they have this as a main crop, economical crop, and that is why this story is all about corn crop. The only thing the earth needed was a downpour, or at least a shower. Throughout the morning, Lencho, who knew his field intimately, had done nothing else but see the sky towards the northeast. So, a condition of a farmer can be understood. Whenever it doesn't rain, whenever farmers are dependent upon monsoon, the plight, the pain can be felt when you know a farmer closely, the only one who supplies the entire world food. And when some calamity occurs or some threat comes to the world in the form of some pandemic, and when people are locked up inside their houses, only one people are to be remembered, and those people are only farmers. So he had a single thought in his mind, and that was a rain. That's why he was looking for a rain, looking towards the northeastern sky. Now we are really going to get some water. Woman here means his wife, Lencho's wife, is expecting a shower of rain. The woman who was preparing supper replied, "Yes, God willing." The older boys were walking in the field while the smaller ones were playing near the house until the woman called to them, "Come for dinner." It was during the meal that, just as Lencho had predicted, big drops of rain began to fall. So Lencho must be happy because he expected a shower of rain, and indeed big drops of rain began to fall. In the northeast, huge mountains of clouds could be in the northeast huge mountains of clouds. Look at the language, mountains of clouds. It's a kind of comparison. Could be seen approaching. The air was fresh and sweet. Air can be fresh, but air is sweet also here. This is a kind of comparison. The man went out for no other reason than to have the pleasure of feeling the rain on his body. So Lencho was so exalted, so happy, that he went out to enjoy the rain on his body. That means he drenched deliberately, knowingly, because that didn't bother. He was happy that it was raining in the end. And when he returned, he exclaimed, "These aren't raindrops falling from the sky." He couldn't call those things raindrops. They are new coins. For him, this was those drops were coins, money, and it was, as I said, the main crop or economy crop of Mexico. Then so each drop of rain was like a coin. The big drops are 10-cent pieces, and the little ones are 5 cent, are the smaller changes or exchanges for pesos. And size of cents and 5 cents and 10 cents are different. So he has said 10 cents for the bigger one, and the smaller one are 5 cent, and cents are silvery in color, like our Indian coins. That's why he also compares them as cent pieces. With a satisfied expression, he regarded the field of ripe corn with its flower draped in a cotton of rain. Draped means covered with something. Draped or drapery means the art of covering the windows and doors. This form of art, drapery. So draping means a cloth. So entire area or the crop field was covered with a cotton of rain. But suddenly a strong wind began to blow, and along with the rain, very large hailstones began to fall. So the disaster began. Hailstones also fell, and whenever hailstone falls, it helps less, damages much. These truly did resemble new silver coins, sarcastically he said. At the beginning, he called raindrops silver coins, but now these larger things, solid things, harder things, hailstones truly resemble silver coins. At the beginning it was a comparison, a fancy, an imagination, but now it isn't that much fancy, that much imagination. It isn't much exaggeration. It looked indeed like silver coins, a harder thing, but these coins were not jingling. It had actually shattered the dreams, had actually shattered the hope of Lencho. But the boys are boys, the children are children. The boys, exposing themselves to the rain, ran out to collect the frozen falls. They had nothing in their mind. They had no fear of how the house would be run without crops sold in the market and without money. They were not worried. They were only enjoying the rain and the hailstorms. But for Lencho, it's really getting bad now, exclaimed the man. I hope it passes quickly. It did not pass quickly. He hoped the rain and the hailstone to end quickly because he didn't intended this kind of a rain. For an hour the hail rained on the house. 1 hour hailstorm falling on the house, on the garden, the hillside, the cornfield, on the whole valley. The field was white as if covered with salt. The field was white as if covered with salt. Another comparison. He could find no better word, because the form of rain here mentioned are sometimes silver coin and sometimes salt. So that's all for today. Thank you.